Howdy everybody, we're back with some more RPG horror stories. Our first story is by Monsters Magica and is titled, I've been playing my character Ron for 4 years. I only just discovered this error today, so bear with me. It's a bit of context, I have ADHD, so be gentle. I mean laugh, but be gentle, okay? So I've run a game of D&D for 5 years and I've been a player in another for 4. I've used the same character sheet this entire time. I'm pretty detailed with tracking my build. I keep an entire document just for tracking what I've gotten and where, and my character sheet is color-coded and even has a key and symbols and everything to help me keep information sorted. Like I said, I have ADHD, so this is what helps me stay on top of things. Or so I thought. To add insult to injury here, I also run a shop where I sell principal ttrpg accessories. I know I have no excuse for my error. I've been preparing for a launch of a character sheet series, and as part of the product photos, I partially filled out a sheet for my warlock by copying over the information on my old character sheet. It wasn't until I was uploading those images that I noticed an issue with my ability scores. I only have proficiency in charisma checked. Like saves? Like that sucks, because wisdom saves are some of the worst to fail out of all the saves. Gonna give you some grace though. You're human. Assume you're human. It's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I thought, surely I just left this blank on my sheet because I didn't fill the whole thing in. But then I checked the sheet I've been using and no, I just never ticked the proficiency box. And like a staticky VHS tape in a miscalibrated VCR, every failed wisdom save jittered through my mind. What a fool I have been. My partner, who's in the same game as me, said that when she walked into the room and I looked at her, I looked like that gif of little Midoriya as he looked at his mom. LOL. I was pointing to the photo on my screen. I said, I'm supposed to have proficiency in wisdom too, right? My DM pointed out that it fits with my character's backstory pretty perfectly. He was lost in the Fey realm for a while and came back with some strong Fey DHD, so this tracks. Another player even said, isn't this so like the Warlock though? Which did make me laugh. I mean, like, ouch, but it was hilarious too. Luckily, something big happened in our last session that helped me to make my warlock more whole again, so gaining the proficiency bonus in wisdom he's been owed all this time makes a lot of good narrative sense. So I'm going to lean to it, I guess. As my DM said, totally a dedicated RP choice. Okay, I'm glad they're having fun with it. It sucks that they made a mistake. Hopefully this would be something figured out early on in the campaign, and it's part of the reason a DM should review character sheets. It allows a second set of eyes to kind of catch typos and mistakes like this. But again, we are all human. Things are going to slip between the cracks. I am glad they're having fun with it, and they're somehow tying it to the character themselves. But don't ever feel bad if you mess something up. Mistakes are going to happen. I've made mistakes as both a player and as a DM. I've gone through multiple years of a campaign, messing up a Path of the Beast Barbarian ability as a DM, Form of the Beast, for those of you who are curious, so like really something you get really early on as a Path of the Beast Barbarian. I've been messing up for years in the current campaign I'm running. Whoops. Our next story is from user Ron Lingonberry79, is titled Interesting Player Backstory. Hey DMs, wanted to know what you would do with this backstory submission by a player. I think I know what I'm going to do, but I wanted to see what some others thought of it. Campaign launches out of Neverwinter, mix of Lost Mines and Dragon of Icespire. Party is meeting in a tavern after responding to an ad for hired muscle, level 3 characters. Player is playing a Zariel Tiefling Conquest Paladin, 6'6", 250 pounds, imposing martial look with reddish skin which darkens when enraged. Backstory, I'll give you the short version but keep the descriptions in pertinent words. Raised in the 9 hells by devils and demons, tasked by Zariel to go up to Faerun, travel to Neverwinter, and publicly murder Lord Neverember, they were given a ring before leaving the 9 hells that makes them look human to hide their true heritage while in plain sight. They became a squire in Neverwinter. They progressed their ranks over 20 years, gaining fame and popularity, and progressed to become decreed as Neverember's Knight Commander. During the ceremony for the new rank, this character defied Zariel and refused to publicly slay Neverember. Zariel broke the ring, revealing his true self to the public, a tiefling in Knight Commander's armor. Everyone drew weapons and were preparing to kill the demon that stood before them. The character begged to not be killed and mentioned all he had done for Neverwinter. He was spared but stripped of all armor and titles and banned. Okay, this is a lot for somebody that's level 3, and we're not even fully through the backstory yet, by the way. Just so we're keeping track, they are a level 3 paladin, built like a brick shithouse, No complaints about like the 6'6", 250 pounds, red skin. Like that's all fine by me. They were sent by Zariel to kill Lord Neverember, who is the Lord Protector of Neverwinter, a definitely well-connected and very well-protected individual. This character earned their way up to the rank of Knight Commander, which I assume is above like a Knight Captain. Like it's like probably like one of the leader Knight guys over the course of 20 years. And they also had a magic item that allowed them to disguise themselves. Some of these things are stuff that should be around for like a relatively high PC to earn or get to do or end up doing during the campaign. Like if we're talking about assassinating high level or high ranking political figures or anything like that is definitely something a high like leveled PC would get a chance to do. Not somebody who's level 3. He wandered for days before finding a small village. They repaired an old smithy and started blacksmithing, swearing to never hide who he was again. He became a master at his art, and people came from all over the world to place orders with the tiefling blacksmith. Once a knight commander of the Kingdom of Neverwinter, now a modest blacksmith. That does not sound very modest. We're doing 2024 rules, point buy, starting equipment. Looking at their character sheet, he has 17 strength and 17 charisma at level 3. I see a 1-point modifier was added to the strength score. He took command of the soldier background, added smith tools proficiency, added smith tools, has added a warhammer in fine clothes, added plate armor, still has 54 gold, zero mention of anything about being a paladin or an oath, other than swearing to not hide that they are a tiefling. Okay, so to wrap it all up, he repaired a smithy and became a world-renowned blacksmith that everyone came from all over for his wares. And we have some sketchy stats. Let's break down those stats real quick. With point buy, at least in 2024 5e, the highest you can get is a 15 in any stat you choose. That is the max you can hit on any stat block. And then also, for those unaware, in 2024 5e, you don't get ability score increases based on your species. It is tied instead to the background. So Tiefling doesn't give any sort of ability modifier bonuses. Like I remember specifically in 2014 5e, generally, if we're not counting the Tasha stuff, is usually a +2 to charisma, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's use the soldier background for an example, which OP has stated they used. You get to choose between strength, dex, or con to increase. Notice I did not say charisma. And when you go to increase it, you get to pick one of those to be a +2, and another one of those can be a +1. So best they could do is a 17 in strength, and then a +1 to dex or con, not charisma. From what I can tell, there is no way on Melora's Green Earth this man is a 17 into ability scores with point buy and being level 3 without a little creative, to put it nicely, character building. They've added extra proficiency in tools, and they also added plate armor. Along with that, they have not added an oath. Now, what would I do? I would not allow this PC at my table personally. Starting with the story, I think it's way too much. But I can deal with the fall from grace, potentially, but they would have none of the benefits of being a high-level knight commander would end up having. So no friends, no people to call on, nobody owes favors, none of that. They are disgraced and know none of the high-level fighting abilities that would come with being a knight commander. No calling old oaths made, no reinforcements, nothing like that to help the party out. This would be essentially their character knocking off the rust and relearning how to fight and be a paladin again. I'd want the blacksmithing portion also toned down a bit if we're going to allow the knight commander thing to still be a thing. It's a bit too Gary Sue for my taste if they're not only a freaking knight commander, but also a world-renowned blacksmith. Like, they could be good, don't get me wrong, but I'm not leaving an opening for, oh, I built X insane item for this noble, they owe me, or anything like that. Or for them to turn around and go, oh, well, because I'm a world-renowned blacksmith, I can build plate armor with, you know, a stick of gum and some twine or something. Like, I don't want any of that either. On to what I think most of you are likely concerned about, though. They need to correct these stats, and they need to follow the rules. They need to remove the added smith tools proficiency and smithing tools. They need to remove the plate armor, and they need to pick a freaking oath or end up being an oath breaker instead. Characters across the table, when you start a campaign, need to start on even footing, and without some give or take, this character is not ready for that. I can see making some concessions or being a little bit flexible here in some places, For example, I would allow the smithing tools and the proficiency in smithing tools, but you are going to also lose something else in both areas in return that are tied to that soldier background. But you will not and should not have plate armor at level 3. Plate armor is expensive as hell, and it's a fun thing for a player to aim for, not to get off of the bat. Not to get off the bat. Overall, this PC is not table ready and needs a ton of modification. I would be really worried if a player handed me this sheet, because I can just tell they're going to be a problem. This PC doesn't touch my table, though, without heavy modification. Hey guys, if you haven't yet, please do check me out on Twitch. Links are going to be down in the description. I would love to get to hang out with you. I stream throughout the week and on the weekends, play a variety of different games. Neo 3 is something we're going to be playing right now. I build Warhammer minis on occasion and paint them. Love to get to hang out with you, though. Links are in that description. Next story, though. Our last story this week was suggested by viewer Artmonso. Thank you for sending this in, by the way, and it is actually their story and is titled, "What do you mean there's no crunch? How a min-max D&D fanboy derailed a game and killed a group for not being D&D. Content warning for homophobic slurs." I had some downtime between Pathfinder campaigns as the normal DM was recovering from a mix of burnout and IRL flu. So I volunteered to play a short game for them. Bulldogs, a Fate RPG setting, seeing how burned out everybody was, making the most min-max characters possible. And a rules-like game would be fun. Everyone agreed to try it after explaining that it was like Futurama but more cartoony. Come character creation, 2 of the 3 players were confused at how freeform the system was. No classes, abstract skills pyramid, character aspects, deciding what bonuses they can get, and even why they're using strange dice called fudge dice. The 3rd player, who was a drama major, got their character finished early. A squirrel thing similar to Ratchet from Ratchet & Clank. Being a combat engineer who was much too into things exploding near him to work for the bigger delivery course. I personally have not played anything using the Fate or Fudge systems. I'm going to put a picture up on screen somewhere here with some fudge dice because I was curious. They are very weird looking. They're D6s with some strange symbols on them. So I can personally understand the confusion, especially if you come from a very structured system like Pathfinder or 5e, which are probably to the more mainstream, like rules-heavy structured systems out there. The other 2 were trying to figure out how to min-max for the system that was very much not built for it. Having trouble getting how freeform everything was, that the stunts were feats and nothing is as set in stone as other games. I think the thing I poorly explained out of all of this was the Fate tokens, which will come into play later. The actor, who's the character who's the drama major, and I got one of them to understand it enough to make a space centaur based off his Pathfinder centaur cavalier, who was too big and intimidating to find work on proper freighters. The 3rd player decided, despite the warnings from all of us, he was going to min-max. So how does one min-max in a game as freeform as Fate? He made the most generic character possible. His core aspects for stuff like killer shape, an empty void of nothingness, shapeless. His character was a 2D humanoid silhouette. I think he was going for a Slender Man or something, but I never got an answer to confirm as he tried to keep it as vague as possible. Even his mannerisms were pretty bland as well, giving one-word replies or just pointing. I can't even remember if he gave a reason why his character was even on the crew other than to, quote, feel the veins of the galaxy. Okay, I'm personally not big on min-maxing, not really what makes TTRPGs fun for me, but I won't yuck somebody's yum. I get the feeling, though, that min-maxer here is going to take issue with their inability to min-max in such an unstructured system, and unstructured not meant to be a bad thing here. I think min-maxers tend to prefer very dice-heavy systems, very rules-heavy systems that give them parameters to try to break out of or to maximize their potential within. It is unfortunate that min-maxer doesn't seem to be listening to the warnings and not min-max. Other than that, some of the PC ideas in here seem very interesting and even very weird, given a sci-fi setting. At this point, we were 2 or so hours in and wanted to start the intro to the game. The warm-up session was the crew getting to meet their boss, get set up with a not at all questionably salvaged ship, and some complementary weapons held together by space duct tape and a prayer. Min-max seemed visibly uninterested in any of the RP and out of game, asked to speed things up as much as possible. Even the mission brief was too long for him, as the other 2 players wanted to ask more questions about the delivery and where they were heading. The mission itself was to collect signage on a package that a delivery crew from 200 years forgot to get the first time around. The company was being fined by the Galactic Postal Services for the incomplete delivery, and the person who had to sign for it disappeared on a warship that disappeared in battle, which wasn't too uncommon in an interstellar war where collapsing stars into black holes was quite commonplace. The ship has reappeared again on the edge of the known habitable space, and the crew were to board to find the guy alive or dead and get him to sign the document. The ship in question was full of radioactive zombies caused by the package being a poorly made nuclear-powered lamp. The crew wakes the zombies up trying to get the emergency status pods in the hopes of finding the guy. Okay, minmaxer here clearly prefers combat, which I'm not knocking. Combat can be fun, but I personally wouldn't be complaining if the other players wanted to do some RP and figure things out. I love the idea of a crew having to travel across the galaxy to get a freaking signature. That sounds very much like a Futurama episode to me. I also really like the idea of radiation zombies as well. That's not something you see too often when we're talking zombie media. Normally it's The Walking Dead, like they're raised by a necromancer for talking fantasy, or it's a virus of some sort which causes them to reanimate, not nuclear radiation. Sounds fun, right? Well, 2 out of 3 players would say so. Min-Max hated every single moment of it. He hated that I didn't seem to give him as much fate tokens as the others for triggering their aspects, despite playing into his aspects as much as possible, quote unquote, which, mind you, were generic edgelord fluff. He hated that there wasn't a proper monster manual to the setting, as he could not visualize the monsters at all, or could not get any feel for them without some kind of stat block. His complaining on this ruined one of the planned mini-boss fights that I felt like I did a good job foreshadowing: the reanimated body of the captain's second-in-command, a monstrous cat tar. Like a centaur, but swap horse for cat and make the human part a lot more beast-like. Perhaps a conversation about how to best trigger those fate tokens, in case they are missing the point on how to get them, would be helpful here, though it sounds like they want them just so they can min-max the system. And also, why does min-maxer need a stat block for the monsters? Are they looking up the stat blocks? I hope not, because we would call that metagaming, and if so, bad player. Very bad. I can understand wanting artwork to have an idea of what they're looking at. Visual aids can be great, but also radioactive zombie is a zombie but glowing neon green. Like, that's what I picture, at least. It's unfortunate that their complaining is putting a damper on things to such a degree, because they really are being a killjoy here. Here's how that conversation went. Me, as you lock the door behind and start to seal it with welding irons, you take note of the buzzing of computers and the holographic map in the center of the room becoming clear as a pile of dead bodies gain the same sickly green glow as the others that you've faced so far. As they begin to move away from the pile, the corpses start to laugh and wag in glee as the monstrous alien from atop the pile begins to glow. Plasma starts to fill out the bones as it stands on its 4 paws and goes for its dual-headed laser sword. And min-maxer, wait, how can you hold anything in his hands? It's on all 4s. Okay, let me finish. And his laser is in his right hand as the plasma skin lights up its upper body to a very cat-like. Min-maxer, wait, upper body is cat-like. What about its lower body? Is it not cat-like? Me. Its lower body is that of a puma, except for the head, like in the description I gave you when you first entered the room. Actor. So that cat tor looking thing from earlier. Me. Yes, it's a zombie cat tor. Min-maxer. What the hell is a cat tor? I didn't see anything like that in the Fate Core book. Centaur player. It's like a centaur, but a cat instead of a horse from the name of it. Min-maxer. Is this some strange homebrew thing? Actor. Fate has you make all of your own stuff in this system. It's kind of the point. Min-maxer. You have to homebrew everything? That sucks. At least D&D has illustrations for what the hell you're facing half the time. I still don't understand what the hell is a gamma zombie anyway. Actor. Radioactive zombies. Centaur. Same. Min-maxer. Not a very good description. Okay, as a DM, I really despise when people act like this. 1, let a GM finish the fucking description, then ask follow-up if the detail isn't enough. 2, you don't need to nitpick every little detail, just fucking roll with it sometimes. 3, you don't need to have something exist in the official rulebook for it to be allowed as such a thing. Homebrew can be great. Min-maxer's being a fucking killjoy and has absolutely no goddamn imagination. So I pulled out my phone and showed him pictures of what a cat tar and gamma zombie were, and it didn't help. Min-maxer. Those spooky, scary skeletons and motherfucking fur blanketry? This is why I love fantasy RPGs better than sci-fi RPGs. You don't have to deal with this kind of perverted shit. The censored word up there, for those of you who aren't putting 2 and 2 together, It's the definition of a bundle of sticks, with some extra letters added on for fur bundle of sticksery, basically. Just Google a bundle of sticks. Tar and actor look at him for a good bit as they try to give counterpoints to fantasy's use of sex, but the min-maxer shifted focus back to the game as we were taking too much time away from the game on this nonsense the DM started. God, min-maxer is a fucking child. Why are they being so aggressive? Are they really that butthurt that they can't min-max? So now they need to nitpick and ruin everything? I get not liking a system. There are systems I don't enjoy as much as others. But just roll with it and get through the game, or quit, or wait until that session ends and then step out because it is not your thing. Also, from the ways it's been talking, it's a fucking one-shot. If you don't enjoy the system, just play through the fucking one-shot fully. It's a one-shot. It's okay for something to not be your thing, but to throw this kind of tantrum, I wouldn't want this person at my table ever again if they're going to act pissy like this. Now at least some sort of apology about like, hey, I fucked up. I was, I don't know, having an out-of-body experience. I was possessed by the devil and acted like a dumb little shit. I'm so sorry. Like, if you're not going to apologize, I'm bah. And I'm not going to have you in a main campaign if you're going to act like this. Fuck you. This took a lot of air out of the already partially filled tire that was this one shot. The min-maxer also tried to abuse the fate tokens as much as possible as they let him take control of the season when used. As the others were using them as intended, for example, the actor using them to better his engineering checks and add more crawl spaces to the ship, and the centaur used them to reroll his combat checks or add aspects to otherwise difficult encounters like well-posted directions in the maze-like hallways or unstable biopacks from the gamma zombies themselves. This system kind of sounds like the Force tokens from the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game. So in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, there is a light side, dark side token system where you can spend a token to either help make like rolls better or to like potentially unfuck a situation. So let's say you guys are talking, like let's say you're going to break into an Imperial station and you're like, oh crap, there's a sealed door here. We can't hack the door. We need to blow our way through, but we forgot explosives. Hypothetically, you could flip a token and have gone back in the past and remember to pack explosives, and now you have explosives in your inventory. Kind of thing. Like small stuff like that to kind of like shift in your favor. Like, oh, look, here in the bottom of my pack, I accidentally left some C4 in there. Here we go. We can get through the door now, kind of thing. Min-max just uses points as soon as they got on board the ship to make it so that none of the party's aspects can be activated, both good and bad, and remove the infectious element of the zombie virus on the basis of, like, zombie viruses are so common. We have, like, vaccines or some shit for them. And any points I give to him, mostly to stop him complaining to me about not getting any fate points, were used to remove as much challenge as he can from the game. The only creative thing I saw him use his fate tokens for was when he found the old weapons bay of the ship, which, due to some stocking error, was full of heavy-duty handheld framers called fireballers. Motorized medieval weapons such as chain swords, chain axes, and chain maces, and laser casting bows and crossbows. Yes, we had to stop the game to debate what aspects each weapon had and how much damage each had. The game slogged to a close as the crew had a heroic escape with the signature of the ship's janitor, the only surviving member of the crew, and the guy who ordered the nuke lamp that caused the mess to begin with. Before we even got back to the station, Min-Max had left the table completely, making the wrap-up a bit awkward, but overall it was a good end to the one-shot. It's good that Min-Maxer walked away so their complaining wasn't gumming things up. Unfortunate, though, that it created such an awkward atmosphere for everybody to have to deal with. Hopefully this didn't ruin the system, though, for those who were enjoying it and trying it out for the first time. A few days later, the old DM and Min-Max were gathered. The other two players that did enjoy the game couldn't make it due to life, but said they'd be okay with playing whatever, to discuss starting back up playing and who would be running the game next. I brought my idea for expanding on the one-shot or even going into other settings in the fake core system. The old DM asked how the one-shot went, and the Min-Maxer cut me off to tell me that it, quote, sucked balls, and that no one had any fun at all, that the game was a homebrewed mess with unrealistic monsters and blatant fur bundle of sticksatry. That was clearly sexualized, which now thinking about it is bullshit, coming from the guy who made a min-max 9-foot tall lizard folk, whose main character trait besides being a murder machine was trying to, quote, keep warm by cuddling with NPCs he was trying to mate with that week. I really hope Min-Maxer isn't your friend Art. they're not a good friend. A cat tar is not sexual. Now, if OP here, if Art went out and described the cat tar as having a massive, I don't know, manhood, let's say, or something like that, sure. I could get the feeling that maybe that cat tar was a bit sexualized. I personally get the feeling that minmaxer is one of those like anti-furry people that later ends up turning into a furry. Like their hate is self-projection, that they're uncomfortable with the idea of being a furry, so they outwardly try to hate it to deny the fact that that's something they're into. I was silent long enough that the old DM, not reading my shock very well, decided to have me skip most of my non-D&D and go to minmaxer's game ideas. He had no interest in running anything at all, but knew it can't be anything other than Pathfinder or D&D, as they were the only good games out there in his opinion. I assume his opinion being minmaxer's fucking opinion. When I came to it, I decided to pick the only normal games I had played out there, such as Adventure Paths, Kingmaker, the Nation Builder focus game, Carrion Crown, the horror investigation focus game, and Skull and Shackles, a good old-fashioned pirate quest. The minmaxer shot every one of those ideas down for not having the spirit of what proper D&D is, and the old DM had read the mods already for those and didn't feel like he could play them without spoiling them. To make this already long story short, the half-burned out old DM ran a game that he wasn't very passionate about. Other players didn't like that we were getting more of the same hack and slash mess like the last game, and were mad when I finally let them know what minmaxer had said about the game at the idea meeting. I think I was the first to leave the campaign, mostly as I wanted to build up shops and townships in the barren wasteland that was the setting, and minmax wasn't having that at all. They tried to steer the group away from anything that wasn't dungeon diving. The game didn't last long after that, as minmax's mood swings were getting on everybody's nerves. It's unfortunate that minmaxer is creating such a hostile environment that is going to kill this table. If minmaxer is so determined to only play proper D&D, then maybe they should run the fucking proper D&D, because they clearly know what's best. Lord knows they're not going to. They have no imagination at all, so they would not be able to actually run a fucking table. I can't imagine playing in a campaign that has lost motivation from the DM to run. Like, that has to really suck to be in. Also, there is no proper D&D. It's just whatever the fucking table as a group agrees that it should be. There's nothing wrong with playing a system that is outside of D&D or Pathfinder. It's not like it's apples and oranges or anything like that. There are tons of options out there. Yes, minmaxer did apologize for the steering and lying about what the other group members' opinion was on the one shot, as he was dealing with his bipolar and girlfriend problems and took them out on us. However, he didn't apologize for shouting homophobic slurs due to his Christian belief. Didn't let him tolerate anything viewed as a sinful lifestyle choice. Sure, that man is a beacon of morality. I do not play with him and generally avoid him when I see him on the streets as much as possible, as his, quote, pure Christian lifestyle ended up getting him fired from his job. His girlfriend kicked him off their lease, and he ended up homeless on the streets as he burned bridge after bridge in the name of God. TLDR tried to run a fake game as a change of pace for Pathfinder D&D group. One minmaxer decides to actively ruin the game as much as possible, to the point that he lied to keep the group playing D&D, killed the group, and guy ends up homeless due to religious extremism. Maybe there is a God, and that God really fucked him over for being a piece of shit. Sorry, that was not appropriate. Hopefully minmaxer gets their shit together. It's unfortunate their choices and attitude have bitten them in the ass, though, as much as they have. Also, being bipolar is not an excuse to act like a piece of shit. I get so annoyed when people use that as like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. I'm rude because I'm autistic, or I have ADHD, or I'm bipolar. No, that is not an excuse. Like, yes, you may have extra difficulties in your life due to these things you are going through. That does not give you the right to treat other people like a piece of shit. That is not right. You cannot sit there and go, oh, I'm bipolar, so I get to call you, fucking homophobic slurs and shit, and I get to yell at you. No. That is not an excuse. You're an adult. Be an adult. If you fuck up and treat people like shit and you are actually sorry for it, admit you fucked up and that you were a dipshit and that you're sorry. Don't sit there and say, it was my ADHD, it was my autism, it was my bipolar disorder. No, it was not. You are actively just being a piece of shit, and you are using your disability, whatever, as a fucking crutch. Whether that's a popular opinion or not, I don't know. Maybe it is, and I'm just thinking it's an unpopular one. But Like, we all have different things in our lives, and some people's journeys are definitely more difficult than others. Do not saying that is not a thing that's happening. But when you are an adult and you are aware of the things that are affecting your life and you are interacting with other people, you need to realize what those things are, and you need to treat everybody else the way you want to be treated. You don't want to be yelled at, you don't want to be called slurs and whatnot, then you need to put that out there in the world actively. And yes, some of us are going to have a much more difficult journey than others. Some people aren't going to have bipolar disorder or autism or ADHD or whatever. Because if they're a piece of shit, they're just still a piece of shit. They just don't get to blame it on something. But once you hit adulthood, you really need to start getting a grasp on this stuff. Like, that is not a valid excuse to treat somebody like crap. Hopefully, Art Monso is at a better table or tables, and they're getting to play some of those other systems other than Pathfinder and D&D. And Art, I really hope this didn't ruin your want to ever run a one-shot again. That person acting like that is horrendous. It's okay to not like a system. It's okay to be a min-maxer and not enjoy the freeform system. But when you are in a one-shot that somebody has taken the time to put together and run, if you don't enjoy it, that's okay. And as long as they're not doing anything that is completely hurting your moral sensibilities, as long as they're not, sexualizing things that hasn't been agreed on, or, anything like that, and you are not enjoying it, just roll through it. It's an experience to put in your basket. It's an experience to go back and say, hey, yeah, I tried the Fate system. I did a one shot. It really wasn't my thing. Like, I enjoy crunchier stuff more. I want more dice rolling. I want more rules. Like, I like that more. Perfectly okay. It's a one shot. It'd be one thing if it was a whole fucking campaign. At that point, just say, hey, thanks for putting this together, but it's not my vibe. I'm out, But sitting down for like a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour one shot to try something new with hopefully what are friends at the table, even if you're not enjoying it, just go through with it. Just play through it. So that way the other people can enjoy it. As long as, again, nothing morally apprehensible is happening, like, the DM's not sitting there at the table, like, sexualizing everything, or, talking and broaching topics that were not agreed to being okay, like stuff like that. Like, obviously, if you're in that situation, maybe get out of there. I'm rambling here, though. That is going to be it for today. I'd love to hear all your thoughts in those comments down below. I'd like to know if any of you played in any of the Fate systems out there or used the Fudge dice system for anything. Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and also catch me on Twitch. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.